There are those who will mean well for you. There are those who do not mean well for you. Now, you just go to the office. Somebody now comes. Yes, he has tried to support you. But must you be his name? Why not try now to put yourself and let people know that it is you. Yes, you came through him, but it is now you. All kinds of manner of things. Some people go through your wife. Some people go through your in-laws. Some people go through your father, all kinds of things. So it can't be behoves on you to sit down very well to listen. This kind of advice now, where will it lead me to? You have to think well. If you make the mistake which he made by saying that yes, I can do it alone, those who get me support, I don't care, I don't need them. Those who didn't want you will come in. There's no way anybody who didn't want you to be in a position will want you to succeed. No. You didn't want a South person to be completely staying as president. So what we will take is vice president. Listen, a South person was a president. You came out of national television, you kicked him out. Not to the second tenure. Fine. The South had lost that position. Now they have given you a vice president to replace the president that was lost. In which part is that? It will be difficult to sell it. Now you were a minister. Can you tell Rivers people what you did to improve? To say, yes, I'm in government. I'm influential in this government. What did we achieve under the administration that you served? That will not make them say yes. While he was there, the state was able to get this, to get this, to get that. We believe.
Wike's latest remarks are more than an attack on Governor Siminalayi Fubara. They are an attempt to shape the political narrative of Rivers crisis and defend how history remembers the conflict. His interview combines political analysis, self-jurisdiction, and a warning to politicians about the realities of power. However, while many of his arguments reflect political realities, they also raise questions about the nature of democracy, internal party politics, and the balance between loyalty and independent leadership. At the heart of Wike's argument is that Fubara is the biggest casualty of the Rivers political crisis. He points to three key developments: the government's inability to maintain control of the State House of Assembly, the nullification of the local government election by the Supreme Court, and his claim that Fubara has effectively lost the political structure necessary to secure another term. These are significant political setbacks. In Nigerian politics, governors often rely on legislative support and grassroots political structures to consolidate power. Losing both weakens any administration politically, regardless of its popularity among ordinary citizens. However, Wike's conclusion deserves closer examination. Political influence cannot be measured solely by the number of lawmakers or local government chairmen under governor's control. Public sympathy, judicial outcomes, electoral support, and changing political alliances are equally important. Nigerian political history is filled with leaders who lost party structures but later rebuilt their influence through public support or strategic alliances. Therefore, declaring Fubara politically finished may be premature. One of the strongest points in Wike's interview is his criticism of the governor's advisors. He repeatedly argued that those surrounding Fubara encouraged confrontation instead of negotiation and lacked the political experience to manage such a high-stake conflict. From Wike's perspective, politics is ultimately about negotiation, compromise, and preserving power. In many respects, these reflect how politics has traditionally functioned in Nigeria, where consensus building among political elites often determines stability. Yet, this argument also exposes an uncomfortable reality. If political survival depends mainly on surrendering to more powerful political figures, it raises questions about the independence of elected governors. Democratic governance expects governors to experience constitutional authority, not merely operate under political patrons. Many supporters of Fubara viewed his resistance as an attempt to establish political independence rather than an unnecessary rebellion. Whether that strategy succeeded is debatable, but reducing the conflict to bad advice alone ignores the deeper issue of power sharing and political autonomy. Wike's statement that politics is not church, politics is about power, is perhaps the most revealing part of the interview. It reflects a realist view of politics in which power comes before ideals and survival often requires compromise. This philosophy has defined many political battles in Nigeria. Critics, however, argue that such thinking encourages godfatherism, weakens democratic institutions, and prioritizes political dominance over governance and accountability. The FCT minister also portrays himself as someone who laid the political foundation for Fubara's emergence and therefore understands the state's political dynamics better than anyone else. His reference to advising Fubara during the Ring Road flag-off suggests he believes the crisis could have been avoided if his counsel had been followed. While this reinforces Wike's image as a seasoned political strategist, it also strengthens the perception among critics that Rivers politics became overly dependent on one dominant political figure. Another important aspect of the interview is Wike's acknowledgement that impeachment is a constitutional process, but also a political tool. This is a realistic observation because impeachment has often been influenced by political calculations in many democracies, including Nigeria. However, constitutional provisions are meant to protect democratic governance, not merely serve as instrument of political bargaining. Suggesting the leaders must surrender to avoid such outcomes may be interpreted as normalizing political pressure over institutional independence. The interview also reflects Wike's effort to defend his own legacy. By arguing that Rivers State, Fubara, and even himself have all suffered from the crisis, he presents himself not simply as an opponent, but as someone disappointed by what he sees as a missed opportunity. Whether the public accepts that narrative depends largely on political loyalties and future development in Rivers State. Ultimately, Wike's assessment contains elements of political truth and political messaging. Fubara undoubtedly suffered major institutional setbacks during the crisis. However, politics is dynamic, and today's disadvantage does not necessarily determine tomorrow's outcome. Elections, public opinion, legal development, and shifting alliances can dramatically alter political fortunes. The Rivers crisis also offers broader lessons on Nigerian democracy. It highlights the enduring influence of political godfatherism, influence of political godfathers, the tension between loyalty and independence, the importance of strong institutions over personal relationships, and the need for political actors to prioritize governance above prolonged power struggles. Whether history ultimately views Fubara as the biggest loser or as a leader who challenged an entrenched political order will depend not only on the crisis, but on what both men do in the years leading to the next general cycle. I want to have your take. Please drop them on the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and as well as to turn the notification bell so you'll be the first to get our updates as they drop. Till next time, stay informed and stay connected.